Does this bother people, me doing this? Oh, God. We're gonna make this through. Don't worry. Damn it, I forgot her name. Charlotte. Let's appreciate this melanin. Hi everybody, my name is Chastiny and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, pull up a chair, tell me your name. If you're a returning member of the family, how's the kids, the husband, the wife? How's things going? If you're Trevor Noah, hi, how are you? My birthday is April 13th if you want to send a signed copy of your book. Now that I've shamelessly asked for a birthday present from a rich guy. Does that make me a sugar baby? How are you guys handling the quarantine? Are you guys doing okay? I'm okay for the most part. I still have to do homework. I still have to, do all sorts of things. I do Zoom classes. It's okay. I miss my in-class people. I miss y'all. PD's fine. I think he's sick of me though. PD is just like, you're still here again? Don't you go out anymore? Last time I went out to go buy some stuff, I came back and he just looked at me. Normally he is at the door waiting for me. And when I come back now, he's just like, yeah, whatever. You weren't gone long enough. On today's episode of As I Read, I will be going through Trevor Noah's Born or Crime, Sticky Note Edition. Yay! So, normally what I would do is I would read a summary of what the book is about. But he doesn't actually have one of those. There's nothing. I have a formula. I introduce the book. I read the summary. Then I go through the sticky notes. And I can't do that because, you don't have a summary. Trevor, you're messing with something. I mean, technically, this is a summary. Stories from a South African childhood. So, that's the summary. And what I will be doing, for those who are new here, I write sticky notes. I write notes on sticky notes. And I stick them on the page. Then I go through and I open it and I talk about what I wrote and how it made me, because I write down how it makes me feel. Because, feelings. So before the book, I naturally, of course, have heard of Trevor Noah. I've seen his stand-up. I've seen all of his stand-ups. I'm a fan, but I'm not a super fan. A year ago, you probably could have called me a super fan because I was low-key calling this man a husband. But, I don't know if I want to put that out there. Well, I'm going to do it now anyway. This one says, the first page reminds me of a history book. Which it does. It has the Immorality Act, and it's just the act that was in South Africa from 1972. And I was just like, okay, yeah, he giving us a little history, because a lot of us don't know anything about South Africa. And we don't know what they did, what happened, because, honestly, we're not taught this. In America, we're barely taught about our own problems, let alone someone else's problems. Black Gold guy singing to me when David left. Alright, so he mentions the song End of the Road by Boyz II Men, and it just took me back to a time where I used to work at a potato farm, and the guys were singing this to me because I was dating one of the drivers, and he was leaving. And so they all got around me and they started singing to the end of the road. And they're like, oh, are you sad, Chastity? Your boyfriend is leaving. And I was like, it's okay. It was just a summer fling. That's all it was. And they were just like, oh, they were more sad than me. So I just thought that was funny. A lot of the things that he says just reminds me little tidbits of things that happen in my life. I find that I think a lot about my life when I was reading this. Now, that might be just a selfish thing that I do. I don't know. But I find that I relate to him way more than I thought. I can hear Trevor Noah's baby voice in my head. Because, you know, during his stand-up, he goes, no, mommy, no, mommy. Like, I watch all of his stand-up. I've seen it all. I put it on in the background as kind of like sound when I'm doing things. So, like, I kind of have his voices, all of the voices that he, like, changes in, a little bit in my head. And I can hear them very clearly when I was reading this book. And I thought that was really funny. And I was like, oh, I can hear his little baby voice when he goes, no, mommy, I did not do it that way. Street Fighters is my game. I still have the Sega Genesis OG. So basically he was talking about Sega Genesis Street Fighters. And I was like, oh yeah, that was my game. Because I used to play that a lot. I still actually have it. It's in storage somewhere in North Carolina. I'm in California. And I was just like, yeah, that was my game, bruh. Like, I kind of want it. This would be a perfect time to hook up my Sega Genesis. But can I? No, because it's in North Carolina. Thanks, Trevor. Thanks so much for reminding me of something that I would really like, but I can't have. Oh, and Duck Hunt. Oh, see, that would be so much fun to play right now. Dang on it. I was like, yo, I can totally see Lupita being Trevor Noah's mom in a movie. And I was like, yeah, I can definitely see it, like, right now. I feel like she has that thing, that quality that I can see. And then on the same page, I was like, is it weird to see this as a movie in my mind when it's really someone's actual real life history? Like, this isn't like history, like the country's history. This is somebody's past, someone's life. And it's weird because I'm like, yeah, I can totally see this as a movie. And I'm like, but it's so weird because I'm like, he's still alive though. But I don't know, it's a bio, I don't know. Sometimes I felt like it was weird, but the more I read this book, the more I was like, oh yeah, that's definitely a movie moment. So this sticky note says, this quarantine is testing that theory right now. How is it in your adult head, Trevor? Because here he's talking about how when he was younger, he couldn't go out anywhere. He only had books, and he spent a lot of time just in his own mind. And, you know, he's perfectly fine being by himself all day. So I'm like, yeah, but now that you've had, like, freedom and you can go places, travel everywhere, how does it feel to be stuck in a house like the rest of us? Not that he wouldn't be. I'm just saying, like, a lot of people are like, oh yeah, I'm good, I'll be stuck in my mind. And I'm just like, yeah, I could do it too. But even I'm going a little like, I want to go outside, but I know I shouldn't, you know, flatten the curve. Anyway, Trevor Noah, if you're watching this, how is quarantine in your head? Huh? How's that going? What do you think about? What are you doing? He's probably still working. What am I talking about? By the way, I've been watching his social distancing Daily Show thing, and let me tell you, his sweaters look so comfortable, and I'm just like, oh, he needs to, like, I need one of those sweaters. They just look soft, and I don't know, they just look so comfortable. Like, I would steal his sweaters. Don't play with me. I'll steal your sweaters. Temperance. I like that name a lot. I really do like this name. The name Temperance, I like this name. Like, it's just like, yes, this name is a good name. I like the name Temperance. In fact, I'm stealing the name Temperance. I am going to name a character Temperance. Not based on, like, you know, the man named Temperance in his book or anything like that. But I like the name. I like the name Temperance. I like names. So I was just like, yeah, oh, I like that. In America, the tradition is hot grits. LOL. I made it funny. Well, in the book, Trevor Noah was talking about how, like, I call him Trevor Noah a lot. Can I call him Trevor? Or should I just call him Mr. Noah? In the book, he talks about how, like, in Soweto, women threw boiling water on men. And I was, like, just thinking about Al Green, I think it was, and he got grits. And I was like, yeah, in America, the tradition is grits. How many times have you heard that one, Trevor? All right, so this one says, I just got a movie trailer visual of a sea of children splitting and a blurred faced kid standing in the middle. And I can still see this because, like I said, I wish kind of I was a director, because I probably make a good visual decisions in my mind. They look great. But, like, there's a point where he's like going out to the playground and like all the white kids go one way, all the black kids go another, and he's just sitting there like, what? And I was like, yeah, that would be a good moment in like a trailer where it's just like baby Trevor standing in way looking to both sides, and it's like the children split like the Red Sea. It's very visual. I wonder if I can see this so well because I've always practiced seeing things in my mind to describe them, or if he's just describing them really well. I don't know. Is it me being great, or is it him being great? I don't know. So on this sticky note, I was like, I had the same fight when I came to 12th grade English, and I lost the fight. Like, I'm not giving away a lot because a lot of the stories in here he's told in interviews. He's told them in between the scenes. He's told them in his comedy sets. And there's a point where he's like, oh yeah, I don't want to be in the A class with all these like smart kids. I'd rather be with the black kids. And I remember there's a point in 12th grade where I made really good grades in English in 11th grade. And so they're like, you're going to go to honors English in 12th grade. And I was like, I don't want to go to honors English in 12th grade. I want to stay with my friends. And the teacher's like, no, this is better for you. It'd be better for your grade and college and stuff like that. By the way, this was at the same school where the counselor told me I wasn't going to be able to go to college because I can't read. And then I was like, oh, look at that. You put me in honors English. So really, what does that say about your school system if I can't read? All right. So this one says, I also loved fire as a child, but I was safe. And I made my flames outside. I made my flame gun outside, so he's talking about how he likes fire and how he plays with fire and stuff like that when he was a child. And I was like, yeah, I did the same thing. Mom, you're about to hear something I did that you don't know about. At least I don't think you know about. I used to go outside and I would take a hairspray, and then I would take her long, like, lighter, like candle lighting lighters. And then I would just do this outside and go, ah, ah. This one is, I love cats. I have had cats all my life. And then the second one is something that I say a lot. Like, if I had a catchphrase, this is one of the things I would say. And I was like, I could live my whole life without knowing that. And this is a story about, like, a security guard that got caught stomping out a cat. And it kind of, like, it disturbs me. I have a cat. His name is Petey. And, like, it terrifies me to know that people would stomp out an animal. But, you know, some people are like witchcraft. And I'm like, oh my God. You know, I don't know. I can't defend it and I can't explain it. This one says, I don't like this chapter. I wasn't even I don't think I was a page into it. Yeah, it was the very next page, and I was like, I don't like this chapter. I love cats. And I was just like, why would you do that to cats? Oh, I just remember what happened to the cats that he did have. Oh, no. Yeah, that's why I don't like this chapter. I was like, nah, I don't like this chapter. It hurts my feelings. And I can't even tell you guys because I'm trying to do my very best to not be spoilery at all. If I know it's out there, I will talk about it. But if I haven't heard of it, then I'm not going to talk about it. Because, you know, it's one of the few things in the books that you just don't know about until you read it. Nope. Okay, we're spinning out. This is not about me. I mean, technically it's about me talking about the book and how it makes me feel. But it's not about me. This is about Trevor Noah. Let's get back to him. So this one is a conspiracy theory that I'm like floating around in my mind right now. And the sticky says, why would the audience member ask about how Foofy is if the only way to know about the dog is in the book and the book already says what happens to the dog? Is that a setup? Because there's an in between the scenes where someone goes, oh, how's Foofy? And Trevor goes, Foofy is dead. And then, but in the book, it says that Foofy died. deaf dog that died. It says that Foofy died. And then I was like, so the only way to know about Foofy is if you read the book. But if you read the book, then you know Foofy is dead. So why would you ask that in between the scenes? Unless that person was like next to somebody and that other person next to them were like, ask about Foofy. But I was like, it's just like, does that makes the scene like seem so unauthentic now? Like, I was like, is that set up as a way to talk about his book? It's gosh, I like Trevor, I really do, but I feel like that was a setup to talk about his book in a low-key way. I mean, he seems like a very genuine guy, but you know, you gotta figure out a way to promote your book. And it just doesn't make sense for me to have someone ask about Foofy when they already know what happened to Foofy. You know what I'm saying? I can't. Look, there goes my birthday present. This one is, I hate seeing people get bullied. It hurts my feelings, and I think I'm a little too empathetic. Like right now, this is like the mulberry tree incident, and it's really mean. Like it hurts my feelings a lot. And I'm like, it didn't even happen to me, but it's like, oh, why? It hurt my feelings, and I'm just like, I'm too into it. I need to take a break. In fact, I think I did take a break after reading that. I was like, I can't deal, because I don't like people getting bullied. It's not nice. It's not fair. Life isn't nice or fair, but doesn't mean I can't say that I don't like it, because I can do whatever I want. I'm a grown woman. See, now I'm so whitewashed out, though. Like, you can't tell how deliciously brown I am. I remember being the only black person at Pepper Drive, and apparently we were also made for each other. So there's a point, I think this is about Valentine's Day, yeah. So he's talking about Valentine's Day and how him and like this other girl were the only two mixed people in the whole entire school. Now, I went to Pepper Drive here in California somewhere. Hi, Petey. And me and another kid named Ignatius were the only black people in the whole entire school. Like, this school is pretty big too, but we were the only black people. And apparently everybody, including teachers, which is weird, everyone thought we were made for each other. And I was just like, I kind of like Carlos, you know, he's kind of cute. I like Carlos. But they were like, no, Ignatius, that is your man. Like, you guys are so cute together because you both are the same color. And I was just like, what? It's just weird. And then it was solidified because teachers were reading a book out to us, and it said something about the pillars of Ignatius and Chastiny, which now I gotta find the book. But I was just like, oh crap, I'm never gonna get away from this kid. And like, I don't know, they were just like, everybody was trying to get us to be together, including teachers. I distinctly remember teachers going, you guys are so adorable. And I was like, I don't even like Ignatius. He's tall and weird and stuff, and he's so shy. I was like, no, I like Carlos, and Carlos didn't like me. Oh no, I can see the disappointment on movie baby Trevor's face. My mind has great movie angles. I should totally be a director or something. That's what the second one says, I should be a director. And I really could. I was like, oh no, because in my mind, like, something happened and his face was so disappointed. And I was just like, oh no. And then it's like, oh, it's just so sad. Like, I really feel for Trevor so bad. And I'm like, oh God. Oh, I kind of, the dance. I kind of like this. High school Trevor was like, oddly enough, I look back on my high school and I'm like, I wonder if there was a Trevor Noah that I just ignored in my own high school. Because, you know, Trevor was just, he was a part of things, but he wasn't a part of it. He was just kind of like, yeah. He didn't have a crew, but he was just a part of things. And so I often wondered, like, if there was a guy as nice as Trevor that I just ignored because, I don't know, he's not part of the crew, or he's not, like, you know, talking. I don't know. I don't feel bad for high school Trevor because, you know, he made it. But I kind of feel bad for, like, whether I treated someone like everybody treated Trevor. And again, I'm talking about myself, but this is how Trevor's book made me feel. So that's all that matters. I learn about him and then I reflect on my own life. A pimp named Slipback. Look, y'all read the book on your own, but it's like he was getting ready for a prom and he was trying to look nice and slick, and you know, he did his Cinderella turnaround kind of thing, and oh man, no, it made me laugh, and I was just like, because here's the thing, a lot of times when Trevor is telling your stories, I think of, like, not the joke, but I think of, like, what comes to mind before he actually says it. And when he was talking about getting his hair done and, like, you know, getting nice clothes and stuff like that to go to the party or go to the prom, I automatically was like, he probably looked like a pimp. And not a good pimp, but just a pimp. And then he was like, oh yeah, I look like a pimp named Slipback. And I was just like, oh God. I was like, either I know him way too well, like I watch too much of his stuff and I just know how he is gonna go, or we think alike. I'm gonna stick with the fact that I think we think alike because then it makes me feel a little more clever, but I think I just watched way too much of his stuff. I got to the last third of the book. It took me like 3 days just to pick it up again. And I'm not sure if I don't think I was bored with the book, but I think I already knew what was coming. So I just didn't want to read it. Because it was like, oh, I kind of ruined it by watching interviews, by watching his comedy, and by watching TV where he's like talking and stuff like the Daily Show. And I feel like I kind of ruined it. And I was like, yeah, I've heard, because a lot of these, I was like, yeah, I've heard 90% of what was in this already. Like, there was a few things where I was like, oh, I didn't know that. Oh, he never talked about that. Oh, it's because it's in the book. But like, for the first 2/3 of the book, I was just like, yeah, I've heard this before. I don't really want to read the last third of this book. He has a chapter called Go Hitler. If you want to figure out what that's about, just read it. But is it like the end of Go Hitler? And I was like, oh no, I just realized what's going to happen. I don't want to read the part because it's secondhand embarrassment. And no. Dang, on it, he's ruining my takes. Like, I get secondhand embarrassment so bad and it makes me feel so weird, and I was just like, oh no, I don't want to read this. And that's exactly what happens in this chapter. And I was like, I actually skipped it. Like, I just kind of skipped to the end of it, just the end of the chapter, like the last like 2 paragraphs of it, because I was like, oh no, this incident is about to be really embarrassing. And I was like, I can't read it. Like, I kind of just glanced through it and I was like, nope, I can't do it. Repeating information is still annoying, especially if it's on the same page. And yeah, if you have watched any of my videos and you've watched me read different books, you know that I hate it when people like repeat the exact same information over and over again. Normally, this happens in books when characters are trying to explain something that happens to different characters at different times. They're trying to explain one event. I hate it. It's info dumpy, and it's really just like, and it happens. But that's what happens on this page, is like he's saying something, he's explaining it to us, the reader, and then we go into how he was talking to his mom, and he says it again in the book, and I was like, we know this. You could just say, yeah, and then I told my mom. But no, he was like, he said it all over again to his mom, and I was just like, he often repeats the same thing in different parts of the book, like the same information or the same idea. And it didn't bother me because it kind of went with whatever he was talking in the chapter. It's kind of like a recurring theme. Stop building him up. I know it's about to happen. This bait and switch thing is getting old. often when he's telling a story, especially in his sets, he's telling a story, and he like, I like the way he tells the story because he'll bring something up, he'll go off to tell you another story, and then he ties it in a pretty bow. But sometimes it's a bait and switch. And that's what he does with the man that shoots his mama. He's like, oh yeah, this guy, he was really pretty nice guy, and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, stop building him up. The way he was talking about this man, I was like, oh, he sounds pretty nice. And then I was like, no, wait a minute. I know what's about to happen. Stop doing that. But then, like, I was like low-key liking the guy, because, you know, he kind of protected him and he kind of did nice things, but then he turned into a real monster. And I know he was going to turn into a real monster, and yet he was like, Trevor was lulling me, and I don't like that, because it's like, you be like, it's like getting on a roller coaster and you think it's over and then it shoots backwards. I don't like that. Actually, I kind of do like that on a roller coaster, but you get what I'm saying, right? This last sticky is I Know This Cry. Now, this is when he's talking about his mom got shot and how he cried. And in his set, in his comedy set, you know, he makes it funny, which is like his job. It's supposed to be. But in the book, it is so scary. It is so raw. And I felt everything. Like it's truth, you know? Like that, I know that cry. I've had that cry where it's just, there's nothing else. You can't do anything else. And it's just, you can't do nothing. And it hurts. And when I think back on the cry, like the cry I have that I understand that he had, like when I think back to that, I still feel the hopelessness and the sadness that goes along with that cry. Like I'm afraid to think of it sometimes because it's still scary. It's still like, it's a very traumatic cry. And so when he was talking about that cry, I was like, yeah, I totally know that cry. And the way he described it, it was heartbreaking. I low key want to be like, do you need a hug? Cause this was a lot. Do you need a hug? I'll give you a hug. Come on. Like, I know I'm laughing, but at the same time I'm like, oh, this. I don't know what to say. So, all right, so let's do some overall thoughts about this book. First, I gave this book 4 stars. And I know you're like, but you seem like you love this book or you love this man and you seem like a super fan. I'm not a super fan, but you seem like a super fan. Why would you give it 4 stars instead of 5? And the main reason I gave this book 4 stars is because although I enjoyed the stories in this book and I enjoyed reading this book, I did not enjoy the way it was written. And I'm not talking about like how he put it in order or anything like that. I'm talking about like how it was actually written. It sounded like, to me, it sounded like he just kind of was like writing all the stories and like on these flashcards and then just like putting all the flashcards together in order and then putting it in a book. The reason I don't read a lot of memoirs is because it's not like a story with plots and stuff like that. Like this was legit just stories from an African childhood. And I'm used to like a structured story that has a beginning, middle, end, a climax, and all sorts of other stuff. And I don't like this style of writing. But I do think that if I listen to this as an audiobook with him, because he recorded his own audiobook, and so you can listen to it on audio. I think it sounds better than me actually reading it. The only reason I think I didn't give up halfway through, because let me tell you something, if a book is written like this and I don't know who the person is, I'm not going to read this. I'm not going to read the book because I'll be like, I can't stand how it's structured. So when I read the book, I hear him like very clearly in my mind. I hear him telling the story, and it stays a little more entertaining because I understand how he talks. I understand how he presents his stories. But like, if this was someone I had no idea, like if I had no idea who Trevor was and I read this, I would be like, I cannot stand the way this book is written. So that's one of the reasons why like it's not a 5-star book. Is like, honestly, I just didn't like the way it was written. Another reason I didn't give this 5 stars is because I skimmed in this book. Like, I didn't skim like whole chapters and passages, but there are things like him talking in different languages, and I'm dyslexic. I can't pronounce half of English. Like, I can't. It's hard for me. Like, I have to really sound it out sometimes. And because I already knew he was going to say what it meant anyways, I just kind of skipped over that. Or there's been times where he was like, way, like he spelled it out. Like it's kind of like how he talks. That's what it is. He writes the way he talks. That's what it is. I enjoy him talking, but I do not enjoy reading him talking. It's annoying. But like, there's times where he was like, oh yeah. He was like, oh yeah. And then we were like, yay. And then yay would go like all the way across the page and down and around the corner. And I just skipped that. Like, I would just skip over it. So I did a lot of skipping in the book when it came to that. But like I said with the audiobook, I bet you I would enjoy it more if it was audio. Because then I could hear him and he would be like, and then we went, yay! Or something like that. Like, I guarantee you, I would enjoy it more that way. And if I had listened to this as I read it, or if I had just listened to it, I probably would have given it 5 stars. Because I like everything else. But whenever Trevor's talking about this book, his tagline is I thought I was writing a story about me, but really I'm just writing a story about my mom and how I'm her like bitch ass sidekick. And so I really expected his mom to be in here more. And I was complaining for like a day or so. I was like, his mama wasn't even in there that much and blah, blah, blah. But then the more I thought about it, I was like, it's kind of like how he lives by what his mom has told him and what his mom has taught him through the years. And it kind of reminds me of a Forrest Gump kind of thing. Like, his mama isn't in everything. His mama isn't physically there. He's not talking about, okay, let's talk about the time my mama did this and I was there. Let's talk about this. Like, I literally thought it's just going to be stories about him and his mom throughout the whole book. But it's really stories about him, which it should be because it's his childhood. But the fact that he was like, yeah, I was my mom's sidekick. This is really a story about my mom. And then I was like, oh, so I was expecting his mom to be like saturated in this book. Like, I thought she was going to be in like every other chapter. But it's really like, if no one would have explained it to me, I would have expected this to be like 90% just all him. Which it was. It was 90% just all him. His mom was in a few chapters. You got to see how they interacted, like the way he remembers it and stuff. But there was a point where I was like, his mom's not in here as much as I thought it would be. But then I realized his mom is kind of like his compass of how he goes about life, how he does things. He's taking the things she said and applying it. And it's kind of like how Forrest goes, my mama always said. And then like Trevor doesn't go, oh, my mom always said this. No, but he's going, yeah, my mom taught me this and this. There's been a lot of times where in the book I was just like, oh, Trevor. He was so alone. He was alone a lot because he had to hide, right? But like once he started going to school and stuff, I was just like, oh, he's just like all the people, they just kind of like him for what he can do for them. And then he's gone. I was just like, I thought it was just so sad, kind of. Like, it's low-key, like, I wonder how, on the outside, and from what he presents to the world, he seems like a perfectly well-balanced man now. But I wonder about the traumas that's on the inside. If you have watched all of his stand-up, you've seen like 90% of his in between the scenes. And if you like just listen to him talk about his life in different interviews, You basically read the book. Like, there's like 4 or 5 things I was like, oh, that, he never said that. So, okay. But honestly, instead of reading it, I suggest you probably listen to it. It's probably going to be a better listen on audio than it is to read. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're brand new here. If you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to email me. All my information is going to be in the description box down below. Follow me on Instagram, I guess. I don't really post anything of use to booktube, but I did figure skate before the quarantine. So if you need something to look at, watch me like fail at skating. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of As I Read, where today I read Born a Crime by Trevor Noah. Alright, I guess this video has to end now. I hope you guys have a great weekend. I hope you figure out something to do. I'm going to go feed the cat because he's destroying my bed.